Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to another edition of the Real Talk Show. Oh yes, I am so excited. This is the last week of November 2017, and I have a wonderful, beautiful, powerful woman in the house today. I am already inspired. When I just look at her, she gives me the inspiration. And like they say, culture is the language, is the belief, is the values, and the norms that combine together to make the way of life for a given society. And today, I would be talking with this wonderful woman. But stay tuned, we'll be right back after this to discover who that is. Remember, my name is Geraldine Ringda. We'll be right back. Yes, like I promised before we went on break, I have a very powerful woman in the house this evening, and that is the Regional Delegate of Arts and Culture for the Southwest Province. That is no other person but Madam Grace Ewang. Good evening, Madam.
Good evening.
We are so honored to have you here this evening.
I'm always happy to be here because Chillen TV is my partner.
Oh, that is so sweet. You see, I told you she's a beautiful woman, looking so beautiful in her African attire. Now, Madam, being the Regional Delegate of Arts and Culture, like I just said, arts is a combination of a lot of things. But what is culture as to those watching us who do not know?
I don't want to get into the scientific definitions that we have in all these books that we read in schools. I want to be simple so that people understand what culture is all about. Culture is just all these creative things that people as a community create to be able to survive in their environment. They create and they adopt it as a way of life. Then if you understand that to survive in their environment, they have to eat. Then you have all these foods that are created by the communities. Then you'd say Manu people, you say Ero, you say Lebialem people, you say Melempat. So to live in this in the environment, they have to lodge themselves, to protect themselves. Then you see the different type of houses that people create. To survive in their environment, they have to get married. I don't know if that's how they say it. Then you see the different ways of getting married. Then you have dowry, how to go to the family, and so all the way of life that people have that makes them original and unique constitute what we call culture.
All right, which means culture is also closely related to national identity, which is accepting to belonging into a particular group, where you have a lifestyle in terms of food, dressing,
in terms of lodging, in terms of relationship with God, in terms everything that as a community you have unique, that makes you unique and original, different from other people.
Okay. Madame le Delegate, I want to ask you a question. Do you think our culture is at risk? Like we are almost losing our culture?
It's not only at risk, we are losing everything. Just look at us today. We are just photocopies of other people. It's because everything is gone. Yeah. We are really just photocopies of every people. You hardly see people original, like you come to Cameroon and you say, this is Cameroonian, because you see him in the street and you see the hairstyle, you see the dressing. Go to West Africa and you know what we are talking about. You go to other countries, you just see the way people are dressed and you know they are still in their culture. We are lucky that we still have our traditional dishes to save us. We still have our traditional dances to save us. But in general, most of our things have disappeared.
What would you say is the cause of this disappearance? Whose fault is it?
I would say that the first cause is us. We don't believe in what we have. We don't believe that what we have is the best. You can only promote what you have when you are convinced that is the best. So the first cause is us. I'll just take one example. When you see a woman today celebrating the first anniversary of the child, what is the dress that this mother buys to the child? If it's a boy, she'll buy the best suit. If she's a girl, she will command, if she does not order the gown from US or go to the best shop and buy the best gown that come from US, she does not feel like she has given the best birthday party to the child. And then you understand that we don't believe in what we have. So if I think the first cause is us, and I would say the second cause is the mothers. I speak my dialect and pidgin because that's what my mother transmitted to me. Yeah. I learned French and English in school. So I think the mothers who are the first custodians of culture, who are the ones to transmit this culture to their children, no more believe in the beauty of our culture, whereas other people envy us. I think the other part of it is the community. You know, in those days, the communities were organizing events, organizing activities, organizing community things that were like schools, informal schools to transmit. Yeah. So we no more transmit. We no more have these institutions where we were transmitting naturally. So I would say, I will always say, I don't want to blame the government, as everybody blames the government today, but let us be frank. The amount of budget that is given to promote, preserve, valorize culture is so mean. We have the last budget in Cameroon. So all of this combined, you realize everybody is to blame.
All right, like you heard from her, everybody is to blame. If you're streaming live on Facebook, you can send your questions to the delegate of culture, arts and culture, and she's going to answer. Or if you have any contribution, you can do that. But if not, you can send your SMSs to 654-983620 to give your contribution or your question, and she is right here live to answer them all. Right, you said everybody is to blame. Let's take it one step at a time. Yes. Now, in the old days, we had the chiefs, the funds, who usually organize festivals during the Xmas break or during the third time, which is long, so that youths from that area would learn more about their culture, know their history. But right now, you would see that a lot of chiefs these days are appointed not hereditary, meaning they have not been trained to know all of this. So don't you think that also is helping to make us lose our culture?
I think that it's not about how they are appointed or how they come to the position of being chief. I think it's how they seize this position to just play the role they have to play. In the Ministry of Arts and Culture, the chiefdoms, I don't talk about the chiefs, because the chief is not alone in a chiefdom. The chiefdoms are the first partners of the Ministry of Arts and Culture, because we believe it's in the chiefdoms that they think all the philosophy about preserving the culture and transmitting. I don't want to enter into conflicts that they have in how they're enthroned or not, but I think they should just feel when they are there that they have the responsibility to preserve their culture. They have the responsibility to promote their culture. They have the responsibility to valorize. These three words are the key words for us to have our culture. Because if you don't preserve, everything will disappear. Sure. If you don't promote, nobody will know that it's important and that is good. If you don't valorize, the youths who are coming up will just see culture as the brand that culture has today. When you say culture, it's old and it's not good. And it's because we don't give the value, the brand that culture should have, so that like in other countries, people are so proud of their culture. You know, and then if you don't valorize it in terms of economic potentials for the youths to be able to use culture and make money to live, then they will not see the use. So we want to call on the chiefs, who are our first partners, to have all the value that is in culture and then put it at the center of the development of the community. Then you start having all what culture can bring into the development of the country.
All right, thank you so much. That was a deep one there, and I hope those who are watching are learning more from that. When I was growing up in schools, the schools used to organize dances, theater, drama, and all of that. And when you go to schools these days, you would see that kids are not really into that. Is it that it was the ministry that was imposing this, or was it just a total love for culture that all schools were doing that? And if it is lost, is it the government's place to imprint that youth should be taught or encouraged to love and carry out cultural activities in their schools?
I'm very happy for that, your question. To say that schools are the second important partners of culture, because if you see a generation of musicians, you will see that they started in school bands, in school cultural clubs. The best musicians we have, generation of musicians we have today, not what we call today the tissue musicians. You use their music and throw out. The best generation of musicians, they will always tell you they started in schools, because the first teachers and headmasters, principals that we had knew the importance of culture and arts. They knew that it's not only all about mathematics, physics, and then you come out from that school and you are just mathematicians, physicians. They knew that you are complete when you know yourself. You are complete when you have this talent that you can showcase. And then you had in schools bands. You have clubs, theater clubs, competitions, and then you come out with the best artists in all the domains. And you know, in this period also, money was not the first thing. So people were so happy to spend money to see that young people who are talented express their talent. So you have events in school, people are so happy to participate. But today, even with the creation of extracurricular activities in schools, what is the means that is given to these people to work? And that schools, that's where teachers come and put their extra classes during the period that is given for children to express their talent. That is where a teacher will impose his extra class. Then, you know, students with marks, these activities don't have marks, so they are not compulsory. But the mathematics lesson has marks, so the child will definitely go. And then I would say the parents also don't help, because in that period that I'm saying, parents were so happy to see that their children are the best musicians in school, the best actor in school, the best this, and they will encourage their children to read, write. But now, when the child is not in an extra class of mathematics, the child is in a church. The church, the little space that can be given to this child who has talent in drawing, the child will go to church. If it's not in extra class, it's in church. So you understand that children no more have this space to express the talent that God has given them. And people say we are going to church, but in church is God. But God has given this talent to your child to express it. In school, where it starts, you don't even give room to this child who has talent in music, in singing, in designing, to express.
Okay, if I'm following you well, I think the issue is just that due to economic reasons, which parents also want to meet up with house rent, food, and all of that, they don't even have the time to sit at home with these kids. You know, like in the days of the old, I'm sure you used to sit with your parents, where you sing in the evening, they teach you songs, then you speak the language, they tell you folk tales, stories about the tortoise and all of that. Now, these parents will think that rather than leaving the kids home to play and play all the time while they are still at work, it would be better for them to be in church or to be at extra classes. So what you are trying to say is parents should look for time and give their kids to just be kids and learn what those kids can do and promote the kids in doing that.
Yes, I want to say that there are always reasons to justify why we don't do this or why we do this wrong. If we don't have the courage to admit that we are failing, we have failed, that the option we are taking, running behind money, all the time, will not be able to stop and see that we have to change our ways. We have to take another option. Then our society today, we have been running behind money. What is the result? We have the money, it's disaster.
And we have no family.
I don't say that the parents don't have money problems, but I think the direction you give to your family and your kids is the direction that the kids take. I always tell people that I don't know if there's a family that has been poor as my family, because my father died early and we had to suffer. But my mother, she did not go to school, but I will always thank my mother for what she did. There was space for money, there was space for education. Education not only formal. And she gave room for us to learn the dialect, for us to learn what was important. And she told us money should never be the first thing in your life. Money should never command you. So I think parents should, yes, we need money to live, but parents should give space. It's God who is giving talent to us. You cannot, if you are not inspired by God, you cannot draw these paintings that you see. Sure. You cannot design the dresses that we wear. It means that the inspiration comes from God. So let parents define the spaces for everything. Sure. What is the time to look for money? What is the time to take care of your children and give them the education you think can come from you? You should look for time, else there is no time. Sure. Because every time is precious to look for money. And then the next time is precious to go to church. Then you go to church, you serve God, you say Jesus morning, Jesus afternoon, but you don't take care of your children to put the values that will make this child to be the child of God. No matter how you call Jesus, how many times you call Jesus a day, it does not solve it.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, you heard from her there, all the working mothers and fathers out there. Remember, family comes first. You will look for the money and look for the money, but your kids need you. They need your direction. Nobody can bring them up better than you can do. And that is what she is saying right now. I really do appreciate that. And before we go on a break, let me come back. Schools used to do this excursion thing, where they can take you from here and you go to Fumban, and you discover Joya's chiefdom, and you learn the history of it, and you go to this other side. Is it the school that is failing? Who is failing in this aspect to take these kids?
I think we have a new generation of people who don't have vision. I always appreciate our teachers in those days. We were lucky to go to school in those days where teachers were teachers with passion of not only teaching mathematics, or teaching English, teaching French, teaching physics. They were building people with confidence, because all what your teacher is not about just. So that's why excursions were in, because they know after classes, just going to a Bova village, you go and discover things in Bova. You have another vision of a village, you know. Going to the monument of Saint Cantine, you have another history, vision about your country.
Sure.
So they were building citizens, you know. But today, I'm very sorry. I don't want to insult teachers, but I think they should examine themselves. Are they in schools to build mathematicians, or they are in schools to build citizens? And when you talk about citizens, it's values.
Yeah.
I remember our teachers would take 10 minutes to teach us about the love of your country. What does it mean being a Cameroonian? Then you don't even argue it if you have to go and look for another nationality. You know you are a Cameroonian. You know you don't argue it. You know, and then he will go to the lesson that he has to teach. Then 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the end of the class, you know, it teach you about how being clean, how to respect your mother. Yes. So when you can respect your mother and your father in your home, you will be able to respect your teacher in class.
And every other
other adult out there.
Yeah.
So a 2 hours class of mathematics, you come out not only with mathematics, but you come out with so many things. Sure. But are we doing that today? I don't know. I'm no more in classes, but we evaluate from the youths we see on the streets. Sure. How are these youths?
How are they
behaving? Don't know.
They don't respect people.
They don't know anything about their area. Most of them, just ask them, where are you from? They say, Madam, I know I'm from Southwest. Yes, Southwest from where? If you are lucky, they'll tell you Manu or Nzian. Where from Nzian?
Yes.
Madam, I don't know. Do you know? Can you give us anything about your village? If you want to sell your village, like you want people to visit your village, what do you know about? Madam, I don't even know my village. I don't know anything. But your subdivision, Madam, I don't know. What is the food that they eat? Give me just 3 foods. You see the type of citizens we are building?
Yeah.
So we are more in subjects, mathematics, physics. This after 2 hours, the child goes home, and then home again. The time that the mother would have taken to build these other things on the child, like you are coming from this village. That is how the village is. This what is good in the village. This is how we do. The child has extra classes, catch-up classes, Sunday classes, afternoon classes, morning classes. All the time, the child in his class.
And you overwork the child's brain.
Leave the child to be a child.
True.
Take this 1 hour for the child to learn who he is.
Sure.
Where he's coming from. What can he sell when he's going to meet his friend? What can he tell his friend to go and see in his area? It's the mother to tell that child. It's the father to tell that child. But the child, after 3:30 school, he has extra classes. Then he has just time to do his homework, if he can do, and then sleep. Next morning, 6, he has morning classes. So and then on Sunday, when the child can sit with the parents to learn something, he's in church. And then he has group church, he has this church. Then the result is what we have today. Parents say our children are above us. What do you expect?
And it's really horrible. We are all hearing what she's saying today. They say the truth is bitter, but we must say
we must.
We must accept these truths. Until we accept these truths, our society will not change. Like Lucky Jib would say, our children are our future. If we treat them right, we're going to have a better future. But if we treat them wrong, we're going to have the worst in the world. That is just what she said. Remember to send your SMSs or your contribution on the 654-983620. Or if you're streaming live on Facebook, send your SMSs, send your messages or your questions, and the delegate is going to answer them all. Let's go for a break. When we come back, we keep talking. Don't change that dial.
The second edition of the Grand Southwest Cultural Festival is here in Boya, the town of legendary hospitality, from the 9th to the 16th of December 2017. Activities include cultural parade, prestigious Southwest spot walk with icons and stars. Exhibition of artifacts, paintings, sculpture, photography, and books on the Southwest culture, traditional games, wrestling, dances, traditional medicine, gastronomy, film projection, and varieties music. Introducing female cabaret. From the 9th to the 16th of December 2017. Boya, it's your turn.
Voici la deuxième édition du grand festival culturel du Sud-Ouest. À Boya, la ville à l'hospitalité légendaire, du 9 au 16 décembre 2017. Au programme, des parades culturelles, la grande marche sportive prestigieuse avec des parrains et grandes icônes camerounaises. L'exposition des œuvres d'art, peintures, sculptures, photographies, des œuvres littéraires sur les cultures du Sud-Ouest, des contes, jeux, luttes et danses traditionnelles, la gastronomie, la médecine traditionnelle, des projections cinématographiques, la musique en live, l'introduction de la course de pirogues féminines et beaucoup d'autres activités seront au rendez-vous du 9 au 16 décembre 2017. Boya, à ton tour de briller.
We are standing by.